莫尔是《华尔街日报》著名的专栏作家。今天呢，他和诺贝尔经济学家获得者保罗·克鲁格曼进行了世纪大辩论。Hi, Steve. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, at your debate with Paul Krugman, what was your main disagreement?
Well, I think that the main debate issue was capitalism versus socialism, which is the best model for economic growth and to create prosperity. And I'm a little biased, but I think that the freedom capitalism model triumphed in that debate. We talked a lot about, what's happening in Greece and what's happening in Europe and what's happening in a lot of these countries that are failing, and they've loaded themselves with so much debt and so much overspending that they can't basically get out of the crisis that they're in. And I'm also concerned about China, quite frankly. China has started to increase its government spending and increase the amount of money it's printing, and it seems to me that's the wrong direction China should be going in.
Okay, so as you may know, the China stock market has been very dramatically recently. Yeah, 1 minute is up 6%, the next is down 5%. Now the Chinese government is freezing IPOs. Do you think this will make the Chinese stock market rebound?
I think China has to let the free market work, and I think there's the problem with the Chinese government right now is they keep intervening in the economy in ways that I think are making things worse, not better. So there's too much central planning in China and Beijing, and there's too much political power in the economic frontier, and you need a much more hands-off policy. Let the entrepreneurs and the businesses in China operate and not have the government dictate where the investment is going to go, where the money is going to flow, because that's just not a good model, and we've learned that throughout the world.
Okay. Well, do you think China's real economy will suffer from the stock market crash?
Sure. Because look, when the stock market crashes, that's less money that can then flow into businesses. It makes it harder for them to raise money, and that makes it more difficult for them to expand their operations. So this is a very scary moment for China when you see that kind of reduction in the stock market.
Will it lead to another financial crisis?
Well, let's hope not. But there's always a risk of that. I mean, look, there was a bubble that was built up in China. You had your market was up, 30% earlier this year, and I think there was a bit of a bubble. Whether this is containable or not, we'll see in the weeks to come. But it worries me when the politicians in Beijing talk about, a QE, a quantitative easing like we did in the United States, because that didn't work very well for the U.S.
Okay, so the China stock market crash also rattled the confidence across the globe.
Yes.
So do you think the U.S. stock market will see a correction?
We saw a decline in our stock market too, because the two countries are so interrelated economically. And if China's market crashes, that's going to have a negative effect on the U.S. stock market. Growth is not a zero-sum game. If one country grows, the other one can grow. We depend on the Chinese market for our exports, and China depends on us for its exports. So, we are interdependent. China is more dependent on us than we are of them, but nonetheless, a Chinese stock market crash would have a very negative effect on the United States.
Okay, so lately we've seen oil price dropped sharply.
Oil.
Yeah, from $6 a barrel to now maybe around $50 a barrel. So what do you think about that?
Well, declining commodity prices are generally a good thing, because it means that the cost of producing things falls of commodities. You don't want commodities rising in price, because that means that it's more expensive to produce things. So on balance, it's a good thing if the price of oil and energy and food and copper and tin minerals fall. But there's also some speculation that we're now entering an era of deflation, where costs are falling, and that can be a problem too for major economies.
Okay, so with what happened in Greece and China, do you think the Fed will still looking at raising rates this year?
That it will what?
Do you think the Fed will still raising rates this year?
Oh, I think the Fed is likely to raise rates before the end of the year, but I think if this crisis worsens in Europe and in China, then it could cause the Fed to delay action.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
very much. Good to meet you.